Good morning and warm welcome to this week's edition of The Dialogue. It is the big show, the time when we analyze weekly events, those that stand out during the week. The panel is here. Richard is back from New York. Dr. Gerard Wanzala is set and will be joined by Charita Himbisibwe Karebu, and will be not only looking at what happened in Uganda but also across the globe, right from the assassination attempt on former US President Donald Trump to Rwanda, where General Paul Kagame polled almost 100% of the vote in the general elections, but also down here and looking at the decision, a resolution actually from the cabinet retreat in Chankwanzi, proposing that money in politics should be regulated. My name is Prince Apollo. Let me introduce the panel. Dr. Gerard Wanzala, it is always a pleasure to have you on the show, and welcome again to the dialogue this morning.
Thank you, Apple. Good morning, our viewers. We are so happy that we have with you every day, every Saturday. We thank you for your time, and welcome back my colleague in the studio, who has been representing us at international level. Last time I was telling you, you have power, people and power, and then you said, right? You said you don't have. If you are bad, if you are speaking for us, you have the power.
Happy to have you, Dr. Gerard.
Thank you.
Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Apollo. It's always nice to be back home, to be back to the show. It's always by the grace of God, really, the things that happen to us. So me, I'm thankful.
You're thankful
to the Lord, but I'm thankful to the viewers. I tell you, Apollo, I get feedback.
Even me.
I get feedback, and that really energizes me.
That is
so
true.
I'm very grateful to the to the viewers, really. And then when he has become a very powerful road safety activist.
Yeah.
So me, I am very happy for the conversion.
and what?
A good preacher.
Yeah.
What advocacy had you taken to the UN?
Okay, every year, the UN holds what they call the high-level political forum. What has been happening, different issues get discussed, but what has been happening during the high-level political forums in the recent past have been where countries offered to report on their progress or lack of it on implementation of the Sustainable Development Goals.
Oh.
And that is because the end time for the Sustainable Development Goals is about 6 years away, 2030. So countries have been volunteering to report. Now, it's very courageous. It takes courage for you to volunteer to report on your failures. Yeah, success, but a lot of it failures. Because when you look at the goals, probably globally we shall achieve maybe 20% or 25%. We shall not achieve the other big percentage. And Uganda is not too far away from those percentages. But we have had the courage as a country. This was our third time that we are reporting on what progress we have made.
But slow progress.
Yes, it's a mixed bag. Yeah, it's a mixed bag. But we are, of the 17 goals, we probably will achieve a few, make some progress on some, but we also have a couple of them where we have stagnated as a country.
Thank you. Thank you so much, our viewers. We now kick off the big debate. Special recognition of one ardent viewer, one out of many ardent viewers of the dialogue, Bwire Wilson. I met this gentleman in Wakiso, Nansana, part of Wakiso, and he said, I really cannot miss the dialogue. And he said he even bumped into Wanzala, and he said, I must convey regards to Wanzala at one time at UBC. We really treasure your audience. We treasure your your comments and observations, and it will not be different this morning. Make your comments and observations precise and send them when that time comes. Like I said, gentlemen, in the studio, we had quite interesting events in the week, but just 1 minute from you, Dr. Gerard. What really attracted your attention this week?
Well, this week, a number of things. Of course, one of them is one of the topics that we're going to discuss, the issue of campaign financing. For me, that is critical, but I'll give my opinions in the due course. However, what stood out for me yesterday, I was part of a national consultative forum under the leadership of Center for Policy Analysis, where we are organizing the first ever Africa Region Conference on Parliament and Legislation. It is the first one. It's going to take place in Uganda, so we are going to encourage Ugandans to submit abstracts for the conference to be held in Munyonyo around June next year. And then we shall give opportunities to Ugandans to exhibit whatever they are doing, and also it will be a good opportunity for us to share experiences. You know why? This conference is being held, parliaments are changing. Today there are emergencies. COVID came, we saw how our parliament reacted. The first thing was the MPs to pass the budget, but also pocket 20 million, and then the president forced them to vomit it and said, your work is to appropriate, not to go and implement. So under emergencies, how do parliaments behave? The other key issue that is motivating this conference is about the issue of digitization and artificial intelligence. That a lot of things are changing, our parliament's going to be the same, so we want to share experience from around the world. And then the other is that parliament should do their work based on evidence and research, not just doing things the way they do. And then lastly, that we have an army of so many young people, so parliaments have to become responsive to the needs and aspirations of the young people. So those four will be the bedrock of this conference.
Okay.
For me, that was key.
Very outstanding. And quickly from you, from New York, and serious incident, the attempt on Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's where you've been.
Yeah. So two things. The first one is a personal one. Now, the other weekend, before I went to bury my auntie. Now, after I left, my cousin, the daughter of that one, this one died. We buried her during the week on Tuesday or something. On Friday, the daughter died too.
Oh,
Jesus.
Yeah, so it was a difficult time. I was away, of course. But then on the other side, it was two things, Apollo. First, you see, before I went to New York, I was in Nairobi for the East African Philanthropy Network Summit. Now, what for me is interesting, and Uganda has now, I think as of yesterday, Uganda was, it was passed finally that Uganda will host the Secretariat for an equivalent of the UN. The UN has OCHA, the Office for Humanitarian Assistance. Now, the African Union has created a continental organization for humanitarian assistance as one of the agencies, and it will be hosted by Uganda. So that was nice when you connect it with the efforts we are making to recognize us, the giving that we do. We do a lot of giving, but we don't document it. We don't recognize it, we don't celebrate it. So we surrender our power to those external ones whom we think they are the only givers, which is not true. So that is, for me, is important because we are reclaiming our power as Africans who are givers. The second thing, of course, in New York, as soon as they said they shot Trump, I packed my bags. Because for me, if they had killed Trump, I would have moved to the airport. Yeah, because those guys can be crazy. Some of his supporters and their big guns and what. I don't know how they would have reacted. So I
That
didn't want
is-
to take chances. Yes.
You are not safe in.
No way.
The
So
NRA,
yeah.
National Rifles
Yes, the
Association.
National Rifles Association. So for me, I think it was incredibly useful for all of us that he was not
Oh,
actually killed.
one comment from you, Doctor?
Well, for me, I think what is more significant is that Trump, like any other person, seems to have been in deep shock because of attempts on his life. And I have seen the tone change, saying, I'm going to communicate more about unity and my program instead of focusing on hitting at others, something that has been characteristic of his behavior, that he spends more time preaching these immigrants are criminals, the bad people, which breeds hatred in the community. So for me, it is significant that his personality seems to have been influenced now by the occurrences.
Good. Hopefully the real issues will come out during the debate, because we are speaking about decommercializing politics and elections, and of course what happened in the US is directly related to elections. And I saw His Excellency the President congratulating Donald Trump for having survived, and he hinted about political violence as one thing not right for democracy, and it somehow sounded cynical in one or another. But well, it's a fact, and I hope when the discussion progresses, we'll also relate to that extremism in politics, especially during campaign and elections. Now, let's go straight to our topic. And something good seems to be coming out of the Chankwanzi retreat. We were here speculating and trying to think of what may come out of Chankwanzi. And Dr. Jared Werewanzala, if indeed this proposal goes on to see the light of the day, it will be one good thing that we can count on Chankwanzi retreat, the cabinet retreat in Chankwanzi. Government now coming out spearhead a process that possibly will culminate into laws that will regulate money in politics. What do you think? Good thing coming out of Chankwanzi retreat?
First of all, I want to commend, of course, the president and the team that was in Chankwanzi for coming up with that resolution of trying to say, let's bring a legislation to control campaign financing. Me, from the civil society perspective, where I am, when I was working with Africa Leadership Institute, we were members of the Alliance for Campaign Finance Monitoring. And I used to be the focal person. One of the things we attempted to do as one of the outcomes at that time in between 2018 and 2020, it was to promote a private members bill that would bring amendments to the Parliamentary Elections Act, the law that regulates the election of MPs, to ensure that we bring a law that controls campaign financing in Uganda. Because at that time we had organized that whereas there is also spending at presidential level, our target was to start with the parliament. Why? Because we were looking at it that MPs are representatives of the people. And it's because people are not able to sit in the parliament, their voices are echoed through the members of parliament. But if people overspend in elections, they will go to parliament expecting to reap, to recover, just like any other business person, to recover what you invested, break even, then you begin now looking for profits. And yet it is not practical, because you will recover what you spend, But again, the moment you are elected, the demands continue coming towards you from the constituency. I will give an example. This is 2024. I come from Bubulo East constituency. We have some areas that are mountainous, you know, hilly, with little rivers and bridges. Some of them are impassable, and the local government is incapable of building those bridges. As I speak right now, there are candidates in Namisindwa organizing health camps, making small bridges. Now, if you ask them, why are you making bridges on behalf of government? Why are you becoming mobile hospitals on behalf of government? Are you able to carry the entire constituency on your back? The answer is no. So if you ask such a person that tomorrow when you are elected, where do you intend to get the money to recover what you did, to make those bridges, to make organized health camps? This is 2 years to elections.
Yeah, true.
Because campaign financing itself is what you spend before, during,
and after.
Because when the elections end, one, you may have debts that have risen out of the campaign, or you may be planning for the next election again. So, what is the danger of this spending, of failure to control? One, it is the root cause of corruption in our institutions. Because now that is when you'll come to cut cut deals. If you are allocated to the budget committee, this is the trouble that you'll get. If you sit in a committee passing the budget for cooperatives, which cooperatives are supposed to revive the economy in the countryside, you will follow the money and steal it, and you end up in prison. And maybe what we did that time, we got about 32 members of parliament. Most of them were from the NRM, who supported the initiative we were doing under the Alliance for Campaign Finance Monitoring. They supported to promote this bill, but at the end of the day did not reach the parliament. I was so shocked that actually the majority of sitting MPs opposed that bill that we are promoting. They thought that when they are in parliament, they will earn money and therefore they will have advantage, spending advantage over their competitors. But eventually, about 80% of them lost elections. So people are selling buildings, people are selling their homes, people are going to banks. So by the time they come to parliament, it's about deals. That's why when we started even this conversation about corruption, some were saying, but these ones have eaten only 1.7 billion. This is very little compared. So the issue now was not moral on why people are stealing taxpayers' money, but now they are comparing themselves. Who are still told more, which one is impactful and which one is not impactful. So it is a danger. Now, once it translates into corruption tendencies in the government, it even threatens the stability of the country. Like today, the anger is too much in the community that now, actually something that I always wanted, Ugandans are now calling the corrupt thieves. They used to say this. They used to when you say corruption, it used to sound like small diplomatic, but now they are saying ababi. These are thieves. So which is good, because it then shows that many of them, the awareness is being raised.
All right. So you really appreciate the idea now coming.
I do appreciate, but based on history of this regime, you know, me, I'm not a politician at the moment, but from what I observe as an analyst, there is a lot of patronage, okay, which seems to be official, that there's a lot of money that is now going to donations by the president, because even donations maybe need to be guided by the law. If we have given you money for donations, how is it going to be spent? How is it going to be accounted for? So that's the challenge. And then it is a power retention game also, that these funds are used to keep certain people at check. So for me, that's the worry. Just like many other laws, we may maybe fail to enforce it, but at least let's have the first step to have the law in place.
Well, we will dig deep into its the practicability and implementation of this law, if indeed it comes to be tabled or to be presented. Quickly, let me first welcome to the show Charity Imbisibwe. Please speak to our viewers. She is the Executive Director for the Electoral Laws Institute. Happy to have you on the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Apollo. And I woke up feeling I am Charity Kalebo, not Imbisibwe.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay.
So I have dumped Imbisibwe in the dustbin. Okay. I'm very happy to see everybody this morning.
Through the legal...
through the legal process, I'm even going to take a poll deed because there are many times when you wake up and you are Kalebo, not Imbisibwe. Anyway, very good morning to all our viewers, and I am very happy to be on the show with Richard Tinkasimira warming up his chair. With Richard Tinkasimira. And Apollo, I am so happy to see you after a long time. And Dr. Werihe Wanzala, please thank you for keeping fort. Honestly, you need chocolate or you need some. This one went to the US 10 times. He came back without anything for us. But for you, Dr. Werihe, kudos and kudos. I want to be like you. I am actually aspiring.
Thank you, and welcome back.
Thank you,
Charity Kalebo. Richard,
thank you so much for keeping this. Thank you so much. Richard, don't only laugh; it is real.
Richard, while you were away, we discussed the cabinet retreat in Chankwanzi, and the debate was on our expectations from Chankwanzi, and even listening from the deliberations elsewhere, you would hear people really not so hopeful on what would come out of Chankwanzi. But here we are. Government is mooting proposals now to table laws relating to decommercializing elections and politics in general. Isn't it something good now from government?
Okay, two things. First of all, this came from Chankwanzi. So Chankwanzi this time was a cabinet retreat, not an NRM.
Yeah.
Okay, because you see, for me, when I hear Chankwanzi, I imagine CADA training. Yeah.
But it also had the NRM. The big wigs of NRM were in. So it was combined cabinet, big wigs of NRM,
PSCs.
and permanent secretaries. Yes.
Okay. So
welcome back from the United States.
Thank you very much. You see, I do not. I sometimes admire the level of optimism that you guys have. I wish I could be like you. That the usual crop of human beings go to Chankwanzi and you are expecting hurrah or something like that. Really? I don't know. I don't know. So sometimes I sit and I'm listening and I'm like, it must, maybe I'm the one with the problem. But to expect that the usual guys have gone to Chankwanzi with their eyes on 2026. And there is going to be, you know, I don't know, perhaps maybe. So decommercialization of elections. What does it even mean? Yeah, I wish Charity is here. She's the expert in the Institute of Elections, Professor of Elections. I am going to hear. Weriga has been here running around elections, I don't know, monitoring election campaign.
And he's still there, he has told you.
I am really, I want to be humble, Apollo. I want to give them time to first explain to me what decommercialization of elections means. Then maybe I can speak from a point of information.
To interject,
Thank
I think
you.
if we use
Thank you.
if we use decommercialization, I think it will misrepresent. I think what we're talking about is regulating campaign
Finances.
There will be money, but how do you source the money? How do you account for this money? And what is supposed to do? And how much do individual contributors contribute to your campaign?
Okay. So now the commercialization is starting to be dumped like a MC. Because you see, for me, where things are difficult.
No, I don't think it is dumped completely, because
In the dustbin.
when we talk about commercialization of politics, then there's specifically what we're talking about. We are talking about money being influencing the election, elections and politics. But then to what level? I think your issues is on what level?
Yeah, because one of the things, for example, in the United States that people were looking at to gauge a candidate is how much money you are raising, how the contributions you are getting. So I am. This is commercial for me. I am thinking of a supermarket or something, a supermarket of elections. And so that's why I said I needed to have it broken down for me, so that I can speak from a very.
Actually, Uganda is a supermarket of
because I want you. I want you people, even with your very deep optimism. I want you people to explain to me how renting support in this country is going to stop in the current circumstances. How there is going to be a rally of my leader, President Yoweri Museveni, and you are not going to bus in people from different parts to beef up that. I want you to tell me how that one is going to happen. I want you to tell me how it is going to happen that the current crop of youth you are going to get and get them without giving them money after being around for 40 years. What are you going to tell them that is now going to endear them to you? Without
bribery.
No, I am not there. I am not negativizing it or positivizing it. I am just saying without giving them money. So if commercialization means giving goodies and money to voters, then I don't know how that one is going to stop. For me, I don't know. I have said here, Apple, that the current budget is absolutely designed to provide money to give to the electorate. You call it CSR.
Corporate social responsibility.
And each quote-unquote office that has some importance has a budget for that. It has been increased fundamentally this year. I can promise you it will increase again next year. And it is for electioneering. So for me, this perennial optimism of a Chankwanzi outcome, I am trying to search within myself to find it.
From your standpoint, don't you think it's a good thing? Indeed, a
good thing to do what? To go and talk
to limit and
go
regulate.
And talk hot air.
To limit and regulate.
Yes. Limitation and regulating of anything. Anything. Eating sweet bananas, drinking coffee, kissing. Regulation of anything is very good. Of course. But it's me embracing hot air. A packaged hot air from that ground.
Hopefully, we need to first listen to Charity
yes,
Karebu.
Yes. She's the professor of elections.
She has a vast experience.
Yes, so she's going to break for me decommercialization. And then maybe I can be knowledgeable.
Yes.
She was looking very radiant. You didn't see her when she came in.
Wow.
I think because of redropping the name.
Charity, speak about money in elections, the cost of politics in this country, and you have been at the forefront of campaigns to discourage politicians and all active participants in political circles to limit spending in politics. Don't you think it's good thing hearing it coming from government now this time that they are ready, they are moving to regulate money in elections?
So I am saying that indeed what you posit or you state is true. And Richard is just being stubborn on one end, but on the other end, he's also accurate. You cannot run an election without campaign posters, for example. You can also not run an election without printing T-shirts. You cannot run an election without meeting stakeholders, people who are going to help you during that process of running your election. So you will have people in your village whom you will consult with and meet. And some of those people might want facilitation. They might want airtime and fuel. And so you are going to spend. So certainly the idea of spending within elections cannot be relegated. It cannot be wiped out.
True.
Let's start on that front. That you know that in an electoral process, there are certain costs that cannot be done away with. However, those costs are usually inflated. I'll give you a very straightforward example. If you look at most democracies, the amount that is spent per voter is $5 per voter.
Okay.
Now, Uganda shifted from $5 per voter to $8.71 per voter in 2016. By 2021, we had already crossed the threshold to $10.21 per voter. That was the money being spent on one individual voter in Uganda. And we had...
$10 is close to 40,000.
Yes, now 40,000 multiplied by
Every
the number of voters we had.
Voters.
So the number of voters that we had in 2021 were 24,000 voters. 24 million.
Oh, yeah.
24 million voters. Why was I calling them thousands? Now Richard and his stories had come here. So 24 million multiply by the 10.21 US dollars. So if you get that money amalgamated, one candidate called YK7 in 2021, he's the only one who managed, by the way, to publish for us how much money he spent. I think his team and whatever put together this money and were able to say, President spent 900 billion alone on an election. Now, his party members, none of them published how much they spent. But ideally what should happen is each political party should put out how much money they are going to spend for each election. I'll tell you that in the United States, Trump's party, well, conservative.
Those are Republicans.
Republicans, thank you. The Republicans put out their budget to be 86 million US dollars. And they even showed you how they fundraised this money. Now that is a hell of money, 86 million. That's a lot of money. Even if it came here and you pumped it into our economy, suddenly you would have to mop it out. And this was the problem. This was the headache of Mutebide when he was the head of Bank of Uganda. Every time we had an election, and in 2011, Professor Mutebide wanted to resign from being a governor Bank of Uganda because he said there was too much inflation. He didn't know how to mop up the money from the economy. There was too much money that had gone into the economy because of campaigns. And so government is coming from that point of view. That, look, I found an MP, me now, Charity, I found an MP about 3 weeks ago who told me he's looking for 1.5 billion to return him to parliament. Now 1.5 billion, except you're a thief. I was going to say his name on air, but let me spare him. Just the way I've spared many people today. Now that I am Karebo,
That figure is not strange for one MP.
You see?
You can pick anyone.
So you see, 1.5 billion. The only way, Apollo, you can get 1.5 billion in Uganda to spend on an election is only if you're a thief.
Henry Muguzi told me
You're a thief, or you are in you're part of processes where there is a pot where you know you can pick that money from. So Government is coming at a point.
So every one of us who has a few 100 million. We are
How
still
many,
real.
how many billions are you willing to spend, Richard? Remember, this is money you're just going to put in an election and live there. It is.
And be honorable, and be called honorable.
It's a bait. It's like equal to going to a baiting club. Okay,
1.5
it's like.
billion.
Yeah, it's like going to Kampala Casino and gamble.
It's a gamble.
Yeah, exactly. You're throwing 1.5 billion, except you know where you're going to steal from more money. So you see, the truth of the matter is, there is money which has always been leaving the national chauffeurs or the consolidated fund and ends up in elections. And it is irregularly and by those who have access to that consolidation, and sometimes even claiming to work in the name of those in power. Like I know, oh, the president wants this money, or maybe he may need money for campaigns and whatever. So I begin to plan early enough, and I begin to, capture areas where I think, for me, I'm going to give the president 300 billion. And I tell him, this is my support for your election. Of course, he will welcome it, because even in the United States, I've told you, they fundraise. They tell the public, give us money. Big corporations give them money. Big donors come and give them money. The individuals, people who have made money, like businessmen who have big
But
money,
there
like
are
Hamid.
regulations. There is
Yes.
a limit on what you fund, you donate and what you spend.
I agree.
And there is at the
There is
other end,
also
accountability.
Exactly, there is accountability. But for us here, we don't have it. That's where I started. I told you that even for 2021 election, people spent money and we don't know. You cannot say Nandala Mafabi, this is the amount of money he spent on the election. You cannot even say Amriyat for if this is the amount of money he spent. Yes, I said I gave him credit for that. You cannot even say it for Noop. You cannot say that Noop, people power, this is the amount of money they spent on elections and this is how they spent it. They didn't even have a breakdown.
Actually, it's not about how they spend it or who, but it is also incumbent on them to declare
For accountability. The source accountability. Yes, the Political Parties and Organizations Act requires, number one, you declare the source of your money. Of course, the president also did not declare the source of his money. He didn't, but at least he told us his budget. He did not also give us a breakdown up to the latter, what he was using the money for, which is what I think now they should move to. Okay. So if government is saying we're coming up with a bill or we are coming up with a policy that is going to regulate, then these are the regulations that we want to see. We want to see that every political party and every participant, if Charity is going to spend 100 million on an election, tell us, Charity, where are you going to get this money from and how are you spending this money? Who gave it to you? How have you fundraised for it? And then, how do you hope to fundraise for it?
Thank you.
Yes.
This is the dialogue. My name is Prince Apollo Charity Kalebo in the studio. Richard Baguma, a communication expert, and Dr. Jeda Dwere-Wanzala. Be part of this discussion and send in your comments. Our number will be running on the screen. Don't call the number, but send messages on WhatsApp and SMS. Tell us what you think about now this move to table regulations relating to campaign financing. And Jared, you expressed pessimism in whether this will work out. I don't know why. You didn't elaborate. Why do you still hold that pessimism in the practicability and implementation of this law in Uganda?
No, first of all, I said I expressed optimism that let the law be enacted.
But in conclusion,
because
you had reservations.
The lawyers like have this thing of circumstantial evidence.
Yes.
That I did not catch you stealing, but when I look at your mouth, you rarely eat meat, but your mouth today is shining. Is shining. So this is...
And it's the best type of evidence.
This is what I based on. That we have strong anti-corruption laws, for instance. PPD Act controlling procurement corruption. We have the Inspectorate of Government to act on corruption on any matter, whether in the private or public sector. You have the Uganda Police Force. You have the State House and Corruption Unit, Investor Monitoring Unit.
The Auditor General.
Yes, there are so many entities to fight corruption. We have Public Accounts Committee, committees of parliament. But still, corruption is on rampage, running around. And sometimes you trace this corruption, like the Inspectorate of Government stated that, you know, I'm finding it hard to fight corruption because every thief we chase ends up at State House what? Doors. She commented. Then you have multiple cases of corruption, but sometimes we wait for a president's pronouncement at Kololo and say, you know, now I have you. I'm now going to work on you. Then out of maybe 40 people, you see only 3 going, and others, I'm very sure some of them are being netted because of the pressure we have mounted, because, you know.
But that's also good.
Exactly. But now,
if the pressure
so
is
based on that, we say that we have good laws, like they say Uganda is a factory of laws in this region and actually Africa, and good policies, but implementation has always been
zero,
a problem, unless we are saying we are going to change something in respect to implementation. Because honestly, we can compare with the US, but the US, the political action committees are contributing to the candidate. The voter is contributing. There's a limitation on individual contributions from voters. You give a candidate about $200, but in a year you can give $3,000. And then that money goes to a committee, to an account run by a committee. Even the money being contributed for Trump doesn't hold it. The balance spent remains with the Republican National Convention, and they declare it. So there's traceability, electronic money, and so forth. Now here, I was just posing a question, you saw. It is a big problem. You begin spending in 2024. The election is in Feb. You are in the village. I told you people are building small bridges in Amisindwa. Is it your role to do government work? How are you going to replace that money? So we can talk about corruption, poor service delivery, but that's the source. That's the source. So I'm not really, I'm pessimistic about the implementation, but let's do the first step. Because for me, as a person who participated in promoting a private member's bill that time, the intention was, let's have the law, then now we can begin holding government accountable on implementation.
Well, viewers, you can send your messages 0701 609906. The producer will run that number on the screen, and we are looking at the practicability and implementation of now a proposal from government to introduce regulations on money in politics. Richard, Wanzala talks about all this being the source of the corruption now we talk about. He says from his submission that actually as we fight corruption, as the president, your president actually, as your president declares a war on corruption, possibly this is one way of fighting corruption. I don't know what you think.
See, let me tell you what I think this campaign financing talk is about. One is not this what I think my colleagues are talking about. Is that the people who are spending, who are in position, they are trying to make it easy for themselves. They're just trying to put brakes on their pressure. The ones that are story, they are under pressure. People are pushing them there. Because for them, they are broke. Once you enter parliament, you enter brokenness. Yes. Apollo, you are the secretary of the parliamentary press. You can find out the percentage of members of parliament who are in the debt. It is not. So they are making it easy for themselves. They forget this thing of goodness. So they are under pressure. They actually don't have money. So they don't have money to take back. They are being pushed to the wall. So they are trying to make it easy for themselves so that they can go back and stand without looking bad and looking broke, which they are anyway, many of them. It's not about us. Yeah, so that's the first thing. The motivation, in my view, is to make it easy on themselves because of their brokenness. That can translate into a good thing, which Wanzara will celebrate because he had tried to push for it and failed. The brokenness of MPs has pushed it for him. So thank you very much. It doesn't matter where it has come from.
We have a new ally on board, the president.
He has also had enough. So, and then Charity, also the institute will put a tick on the box. We have done a lot of advocacy. Thank you very much. We all gain. That's the first one. The second thing, you see, is that when you make this noise, you look good.
Oh.
Yeah, it's the same noise. You see, when people tell me about the noise of fighting corruption, and they say it has started now. But what about the work we had? I was part of the anti-corruption. You forget? I was part of the thinking. I was part of the thinking around
The one
the
where
work.
you said you have all sinned, you should all repent.
You did it. And what about the other work in where we fought? Well, so people, they talk about corruption has started now. So when we are starting the IGG, I told you I was doing a radio program when there was only one radio station on corruption. So when people come and they say the talk has started, it is very good. Hey, why are we so forgetful? Amnesia? Is it selective political amnesia or what?
I saw the Minister of Information saying that, but they did not promise that they are going to solve corruption in 38 years, that they are still in the struggle.
So sometimes he says things without thinking about them. But he tells the truth like Mchiga does.
By accident.
So you see, this is, and so when I'm sorry if I'm sounding skeptical, but I am.
You are.
Because of the experiences I have had over the time and the roles I have played. So that's, we can talk about the role and even have a role. To what effect? But it's okay. Like Wanzara says, let's first have it. But the driving forces are not us. No, it is the fire under which those guys are that is making them talk about this. That's one thing. So it is good that the fire is happening. We are going to have a role. I don't know, but also we will be. I can guarantee you that we will come here and be criticizing that law because it is going to be crafted in a manner to allow the incumbents to have advantage.
No, that's true.
Yeah, we shall come back. Why? Yeah. So that is the other. And to say that it is the one driving corruption is also for me to really it's just one of the small things that are. Corruption is being driven by greed and impunity. When did we start having elections with this? When we came to power. I keep saying we so that I can be safe and the drone doesn't come for me. But
you are in RS, so you can
but you see, Apollo, before the elections, the electioneering happened, didn't we have corruption? Yeah. So why do we want to say corruption has started with this? No, it might have increased a bit of it, but the people who are principally corrupt are not the ones who are standing. The technocrats, they are not elected. You know, the ones who are civil, this cooperative thing that they are talking about now, all the cooperatives that received money, the money was left at the lawyers and it was shared by who? And are those elected people? Really? So for me, this might drive the thing, but that is not, in my view, the principal driver.
Thank you so much, Richard. And as blunt as you sound, but looks like you have a point. Viewers, you can continue sending in your comments. Quickly, we'll be going for a break, but before we do that, just a comment from you, Charity. Richard again comes up with a conspiracy theory that possibly this is all being done to help those who are possibly in office to retain their offices, when actually our primary our first line of thinking would be, if they do it, possibly it would be to their disadvantage. But he says they are blocked. Now they are bringing it to help them retain office.
You see, it would be difficult to dismiss the political angle to any politician's politics. I've used 3 words, all with the word politics.
I want to remember that statement. It sounds fundamental.
So once you're a politician, you will always play politics, even using the best mechanisms available at your hands. And so Richard is telling us that it might be just a political gimmick, as it has always been with corruption. And it is true, with corruption it has been a political gimmick. How many times, for me at that time, I will never forget when the president said, I'm going to crush these Mabati thieves. All of them, the list, I have it, I have written, and this time I crushed them. I believed. Like 100%, I was very happy. See how Richard is laughing. Richard has laughed, and it's the truth. I believed. I was very happy. I kept saying, oh my God, the president finally is going to crush all these. The Mabati, he even has a full list. He even listed the list. He even brought it, said that list is there. His letters were flying, properly signed by him. For the Mabati thieves to all go off the hook happily, and I only remained with my sister Nandutu and Chitutu.
But
they were the only casualties.
They will also go off the hook. Didn't I tell you? After I said you bring my video and play it back here.
So in other words, Apollo, we may think that Munange, we have a good law on election financing. When Richard is in the system. I don't know if he has told us. Why would we deny?
This is the dialogue, and we will be going for a break. When we return, the debate will continue. We are still looking at money in politics and how this new idea of demonetizing politics will work. Let's go for a break and return after this short while. Thank you so much for being part of this show. This is The Dialogue. My name, Prince Apollo. I have in the studios Dr. Jeda Duere-Wanzala, public policy researcher, Richard Baguma, communication expert, and Charity Kalebo, the executive director for Electoral Laws Institute, a human rights activist, and an expert on matters of elections, looking at the idea coming out from government to limit and regulate money in politics. And we are asking questions around its practicability and its implementation, especially in Uganda's political environment, where money had become a means of political survival. Let's now get your comments and contributions. Go to WhatsApp and send your message. Go to SMS, send your message or comment and observation, but also you can use my personal X handle at Apollo_Tusime. Send your comment on that particular topic. Let me read some of the comments coming in. Good morning, guys. Thanks for the show. Welcome back, Richard from Big Apple. I don't know whether he stole my memory this morning. Truth of the matter is that the law is going to benefit the ruling party, because if you want to pretend to be giving with your right hand, yet you are getting it back with your left hand, you talk about election financing to monitor especially your opponents. yet you are busy increasing the president's donations, which is not easily monitored. You cripple others, yet you are gaining in one way or another. Did you pick from that? I see very important observations there. Already, the budget for donations.
The president has 132 billion this year.
And the speaker?
And the other speaker, the total was to 160 billion.
There is
So
a
the
huge
balance
budget
is
for
shared
donations.
between
So,
the speaker,
if we are talking
Prime
about
Minister,
money in
Prime
politics,
the
that
Chief
is
Justice.
that is exactly what he's talking about. And thank you so much. You did not give us your name. Let me check from the status. Team Major Joel from the Republic of Chirinya, I hope.
The United.
United Republic. That's why I call it
United Republic of Chirinya. Thanks for the
Where does it
Comments?
exist, that United Republic?
east of Kampala, somewhere near.
We should go to
At the
Chirinya and
coast.
see it.
Thank you so much, viewers. And another comment here. Thanks for the show, Apollo. I am Mande Jime from Fort Portal, a student of law at UPU. UPU is Uganda
Pentecostal University.
My view on that issue is that have they foreseen the results of that policy? It may increase money laundering in Uganda in a way that people will account for a little money and use a lot in turn. Send my greetings to council. I don't get it clearly.
No, it is
on
clear.
who council
It is
is.
quite clear.
No council.
You don't know council?
Oh, they know
Quite clear.
council charity.
What about greetings again?
No, he wrote council as in local council. So
Hey, local council.
No, we understand that.
maybe,
We understand that
no,
we have-
maybe local council.
no, council charity.
sure.
No, he
This is
probably
a law student sending
sending to the council.
senior colleague. It is very clear.
no, but it's also possible
land
it's local
friend.
council.
Land friend.
He should have said land friend, but he said the council.
Yeah, okay.
He's still learning.
Thank you so much, Jimmy. Watson from Butareja says the supply increases by the demand. So voters' addiction to money forces aspirants to do so. Talk about it,
That's
Charity. We, the voters, also
No, demand,
want
yes,
that
yes,
money.
yes, yes, yes.
Go on.
That's why you want me to start. That one is a result of poverty. That with every election cycle, every person looks forward to benefiting from their member of parliament. They start by demanding and saying, I have also got an opportunity to eat. If you want my vote, first give me 2,000, 5,000, and then I'll give you the vote. Some of them, even on election day, they line up at the polling station and they tell their MPs to be. If you don't give me, I'll tell you, there is a man in Budaka. He was called Chisale. He's a born again, very committed to his faith, and he had very little money. Now, the voters demanded a lot of money from him. James, actually, is his other name, James Chisale. Sorry, James, if you're angry, but that's it. I was observing elections, and so I remember. So, James, his electorate told him, your opponent has given us 5,000, me, I have 10,000 from your opponent. For you, how much are you giving? If you don't give me, you're not coming. James said, let me tell you, I've given you the best ideas, and the truth is, James had a very good campaign. I sat in some of the
So that's the level
campaigns.
the level where we have reached.
Yes, I sat in some of the ideas he was giving were
Voters
distinct
negotiating with
for
candidates.
their own cut. James lost. He lost. And the other guy won because of giving money. So it is very true that the voters demand for money. But why are voters demanding for money? And why at the end of the day do they not care who they send as long as they have the money? It is because they have not been civically educated. And that is why we have been saying we need this civic education as a continuous thing. Even lawyers have to go to class again and again to learn. for the first time when Geraldine Sally was arrested, there were people who had already had a charge sheet and they were already in custody, the MPs. I didn't know that they could pull back the charge sheet and amend it to add. Usually they amend if all of them are appearing at the same time, but that happened. Justice Stephen Mubiru, I'm trying to tell you why you need continuous education.
Civic education.
Justice Stephen Mubiru knows that in law we call companies artificial human beings. That if a company is dead, it's equal to a human being being dead and buried. He resurrected a company, my friend. The other day, that was his ruling. He resurrected a company to come and pay the taxes they had evaded. Now, such a precedent tells you that even as a lawyer, even if you had the other on which you know this is the position of the law, there can be exceptions to that position. And so it's the same with elections. That with elections, you have to continually learn. And even the continuation of learning, even for those who call themselves election experts, who are they? You need to keep learning on the job. Because every election comes as a different challenge. There are new voters for every election. There's an auspice of social media for every election. There is now going to be all and fake video voices. In the US, there was a voice already of Trump telling people that don't even vote.
Engineered through artificial intelligence.
Exactly. An all Trumped voice. So who is an expert when things are changing every day? What are you expertising? You need to continually learn. And so that is the reason for civic education, that people will be continually educated on the need to carefully select their leaders for improvement of elections, but also for improvement on the quality and crop of leaders that we put in Parliament.
Thank you so much, Charity. And Gerard, looking at at the proposals that you had advanced some years before, Charity raises the issue of civic education as one component, key component in implementing such a laws and regulations. What other key issues must be, or provisions must be embedded in such a policy?
I think she rightly talks about disempowerment. Now, disempowerment of citizens comes in a number of ways. One, she mentioned poverty, that people are poor, they are vulnerable. Therefore, someone can easily change their mind with 1,000 shillings to go and drink what? Kombucha or what? I see a lot of things being advertised. And then the other is the breakdown in service delivery. All the bribery does not come in form of money. Like I've told you about the plea that is going on. And by the way, I'm worried when Parliament resumes, we are going to have a problem with the quorum. 2 years to election. You know why? People are giving services that government is supposed to give. So that's bribery. And then many times they're actually hoodwinked, because you find a health camp masquerading to be a health camp, and then they will check someone's eyes, and then they give the person Panadol, and they write, you go and look for this tube. There's no continuous monitoring to see how a patient recovers. So it is a conmanship or conwomanship. That's how I would say.
Electro-fraud.
Electro-fraud.
Yes,
and then they will say, at least that one brought a health camp and they will win elections. So, controlling campaign financing has to come hand in hand with other interventions. Empowering people financially, unfortunately, which has eluded us, because we are seeing more inequality. Those who have are having more and adding more, while those who are poor are sliding into deeper poverty. That is a big problem. The other is, the good thing with the civic education is that people will understand the roles of leaders. That a member of parliament goes to speak for you at the national level, to make for you laws, and is charged with the responsibility to report to you how they voted on particular matters. But not that a person who is with you in the village, I've seen on social forum, let's give this one because she's always with us here in the village.
Yes.
Because the MP is not voted to stay in the village. So once you understand, sometimes you find a member of parliament being blamed for a role of an LOC5 chairperson.
True.
So when they are voting a councillor, voting LOC5, voting an, they don't know the distinction of what each is going to do. So for me, this law is good, but we really need to emphasize on civic education, because it is going to improve the quality of citizens. And lately, we are seeing more programs trying to target youth in universities. Like I see Richard is doing a lot of capacity building in universities, investing in the youth, SDGs and so forth. So they are, at least they have an opportunity. But where is the program for these youths who are marauding all over in the streets,
ones who are
village?
Stealing women's bags on borders.
Exactly.
Where is the program for them? Why isn't Richard taking them off the street so that we have less women crying over their bags taken?
He usually quotes here the education statistics that we recruit P1, 1 million children.
Yes.
When they reach P7, they are 400,000.
And where do the
they are
others go?
disappearing along the way. What's the program for those ones?
So if, even when these laws are being tabled, I hope through electoral reforms,
Yes.
There should be also other interventions
Yes.
that
To
should
buffer.
come along.
Yes, and you can see this is sad. We made our constitution in 1995. Okay, we put the responsibility of civic education under the
Uganda Human Rights Commission.
For the last 10 years, for the other years, we have been engaging just to come up with a civic education policy. We have it in a draft. Nothing.
And the president has it on his table. Sometimes I think that these people who are near him are not very good.
We worked with them,
They are
Office
not
of the
citizens.
President, the meeting. We were in Mbale, Kapchora, where with them.
I would want Charity,
Today,
I would want Charity to have a few minutes and expound on that.
Yes,
how best could civic education be done? Because even on matters of elections, the Electoral Commission only comes out during
limited voter education.
Yes, during the time of elections.
So now the Electoral Commission, for them, their mandate is just voter education. And you see, people mix those two things. Now, the voter education, for it is just everything the process of voting is concerned with. That when we are being nominated, how much money is required of charity? They want charity as a woman to pay 6 million. But there are many young people who have come out of university. Where are they going to get 6 million when they are just starting? Richard, tell me, these young people who you meet, how many of them have 6 million up front? But how many of them want to stand to represent their people?
As a nomination fees?
Yes, nomination fees.
It isn't it passed by Parliament?
Yes, and it is passed by Parliament, and this is what I'm trying to tell you. That so, ideally, in terms of representative democracy, they close out a key facet of the population. Our biggest number of the population are young people. Look at the UK Parliament. See how those young people swore in, 26, 27, 28, 23. That's what the people who are coming in as MPs. And now, oh, help me, Lord. Oh, help me, Lord. They're the guys who are swearing. We have a big population of young people, and you've locked them out, and the dinosaurs are seated in there, and all they are thinking about is to eat and work their way quickly into the grave. Well, the young ones are left and locked out instead of coming to jostle with their brains and help a country forge a way forward. So I think that the question of voter education is important in as far...
civic education.
Yes, I'm first explaining voter education. It's important as far as the election itself is concerned. An election starts with boundary delimitation. We need to understand what is there in boundary delimitation. My friend Richard is about to say, what is that? He's about to say it.
Is it the Republic of Chirinya?
And yet for him, he is of that standing.
Yeah.
And he's going to ask me what he is.
He is a political elite in this
He
country.
is. And he's even a communication expert. Let's not forget that. So for him, he's an expert on seeing this information.
So a majority of Ugandans are ignorant about...
They are. They don't know these things. They don't even know what is their right during the process of voting. They don't even know why they participate in the first place. Even the one who is turning 18 years and is going to vote doesn't even understand what it's all about. Some of them say, maybe I will go, maybe I won't go. What is it about? I don't even want to participate. There is no urge. In America, the moment someone knows I am turning 18, they know I'm going to make sure Trump doesn't show up. It is so important to them that they must use their vote to ensure Trump doesn't come back, or to ensure Biden doesn't come back. I am not anti-Trump. Neither am I anti-Biden. I am non-partisan. But when it comes to the question of civic education. Now, civic education is broader. Civic education would entail, number one, the Constitution says that that Constitution will be translated into local languages, that Ugandans will be able to understand their own Constitution in their own local language. That is the duty of the National Guidance and Policy Office.
Exactly.
Now, National Guidance is supposed to translate, and they had started, but they didn't have funds.
The Constitution,
yes,
and other important documents.
National policy documents and the things that happen in the national policy. You know, there are things that happen here in the center, and we think everybody knows. You go up country and talk to somebody about something which has been on the news forever. Did you see the Parliament exhibition? Parliament exhibition? What is that? You're asking a local person. They have no idea. So what the hell is Parliament exhibition? Because why? You only have 2 million or 3 million Ugandans who are online. The rest of them completely cut off. They are thinking of their garden, the jiggers in their foot, the next day's cassava, and beans tomorrow, and firewood. Now, civic education would get them out of that.
An agrarian population.
Would get them out of there to begin to think about the governance of their country, to begin to think about, why is it important for me to even pay attention to what the president is saying? Why is it important for me to even listen to what is going on in Parliament? But you see, even people who sit, including people who sleep in beds with those who call themselves experts, say, why are you always talking these things? For what? You mean government doesn't have ears? They don't know what they are doing? You mean they have... So that is all lack of civic education. These people, Richard, also need civic education. They need to understand.
I need.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the comments coming in. Richard Dirubulwa says, thank you so much, Dialogue. Regards to Charity, we are happy to have her back. And he says it is not easy to remove money
You said I should shut up.
Gentlemen, Rubulwa says it is not easy to...
I'm not seeing that.
Doctor, comment from our viewer, and he's Rubulwa saying it is not easy to remove money from elections because those who are in power have used it for all the time they have been in office. So if they do it, they are gone. Thank you. That is your opinion, Mr. Rubulwa. And other comments are appreciating us. I would want to look at those comments that directly address the topic. But keep those comments coming in. Let them be precise and to the point. Please tell us your name and where you're viewing us from. Richard, and now, as we speak about voters demanding privileges and money from candidates who want to stand for office, shouldn't we also look at the privileges of these people in offices and also look at how we can work on them? Because if one, like you said, knows that every month in Parliament you draw 40 million, close to 40 million, then I think that is the motivation one has to sell his own home. He sells his own home to contest in an election. Why can't we also talk about the privileges in those offices.
Okay, that's what I had written as,
Good,
number
good.
one in my notes.
Go right
but I
ahead.
want to first go to the other one. Ruburwa, my namesake, Richard, talked about the power of practice, the power of behavior.
Behavior change.
Yes, that for so many years, and forget about starting with this one, even before, the tradition, the culture is that the big man receiving from the big man. That is our culture, tradition. The big man dispenses. So we carry that on. That whenever the chief, whatever the big man comes, you expect goodies.
Favors.
Now, and this has been practiced. It gets encoded into our expectations and behavior. And like he said, you don't do it, you are cooked. It's a political risk. It's actually suicidal for you not to do. So now I'm trying to use the word to deprogram the behavior and expectation. I think is important, and probably civic education therefore would be a major contributor to that. But you see, civic education, in my view, should be incorporated into the everyday education system. That from primary school or pre-primary, wherever you go, secondary school, but you see, civics was not about your power and your rights. Civics is not about that. Civics is who is the minister of this, who is the current that, who is the secretary general.
I remember that's
of
when
the African Union.
That's when we first defined democracy, government of the people.
Which is, but they don't tell you. In fact, it is duty focused. What are your duties? You should pay taxes. They are not telling you what are your rights. It's this empowerment thing, and empowerment is scary. When you are powerful and you're in power, it is scary to empower the ones who will take away that power.
That's the issue with the Gen Zs.
So it is also for us to expect that people will surrender.
But that is unpatriotic. And your government stands on patriotism.
Let's take, and you know, I don't want to risk your job, but let's take religion. It is the most disempowering, but says it's the most empowering. You don't question anything. But this is your church, this is your mosque. But you stand up and that's the sheikh that you said in the Quran, this one, and you will see. So that's the play of power. And that's what we are asking these people to do, that they should surrender some power to those people, and some of it will go away from them. People have to stand and demand. And that's one of the problems. The second thing.
You now sound like Kahindo Tafire.
But you see, Kahindo Tafire is a very astute political chameleon.
Hey.
Yeah, absolutely. He reads the times and moves with them. That's why he's been around when his colleagues are falling like grasshoppers. He's been there. You see, the politics is a pendulum, it's a swing. It swings there, you hold on. It swings back there, you hold on. He's been very clever at doing that.
The privileges.
Yes. Now, tell me, Apollo, how we will not fight to be in these positions. When we are reporting every day 40 million has come, 100 million has come, 200 million for the car, you don't know for the what. I tell you, we'll kill each other to go there. Yes. And we see practices. You come, you have been a journalist like me, a younger journalist even, you become a politician in 2 years, you have a block of apartments, a mansion, you want, why wouldn't I want to emulate you and go there? However much you tell me, whatever you talk, it is your practices that I'm seeing. And so we have to say that, and that's what I was saying, you make it not as lucrative to be there. If you are giving the chief of police and the chief of prisons and the chief of the army 15 million, the UNP gets 15 million. How come that is suitable for the chief of the army and the chief of the police and the chief of the... And it's not suitable for you.
Politicians are raping big.
Well, not all of them, some of them. But especially parliament. Yes, and this is why I was arguing with somebody the other day. I said this thing, they call it what? Salary commission. That is the way they call it.
Salary
The
review.
salary review commission.
But how can I be in getting a good salary and I support the salary review commission? I will defeat it in all ways.
And you've defeated it for a very long time. But what has been the repercussion?
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, that I will defeat it. So, and you also look at this side. So we need to make it less lucrative.
How easy or hard it is, or difficult it is?
It is near to impossible. Because you are telling these people who are
Say it
making
again, Richard.
It is near to impossible. You come and tell me that I should stop getting 200 million for a car. But how many people do drive those cars of 200 million in that house there? So it is hard. It must be the voters, it must be the demand that you see reduce those privileges, and it will not be as cutthroat. It will not be as attractive to start selling our houses. But as it is crafted now, as the money passes, you know, by the way, Apollo, how many times do we read 40 million came, 100 million came, 20 million this time came?
40.
I mean, regularly, like, that somebody who is traveling for 2 weeks and gets how much? People will kill each other to go. So, Apollo, I agree that we need to make it less lucrative on the other side.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Richard.
But now, we are also having a lot of Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
And homecomings.
Fundraising.
So when people are talking about...
The president, I think, has been, had a different position on issues of fundraising of recent. He discourages fundraising.
But you see, that's where you create this financing they were talking about, the pressure on the candidates. Because everybody is organizing a fundraising event. And these people have to compete to give more than the others as a campaigning thing. So, and that's what Werike was taking. You are going to have a little quorum. Because even the people, the voters, are organizing fundraising. Every secondary school, every church, every mosque.
Every church, every weekend,
women's
we are
group,
being
everyone.
called up country to contribute for cars of the reverend, cars of the bishop.
So we are driving this.
Thank you. Charity, speak about the privileges seem to drive, to be the motivating factor behind spending, big spenders in elections and campaigns.
And I won't agree more with Richard. You know, I think this week is the first time I saw a breakdown of 1.7 billion, which is alleged to have been given to NUP. And it was broken down on what it would have done for the nation had it not gone to NUP. The health centers that would have been built, the drugs which should have been bought, the beds which would have been included in hospitals. And I loved the breakdown. I said, fantastic. This is 1.7 billion for NUP. But we have many other billions that we have been seeing. Why don't we also get more breakdowns? I wanted to see the breakdown from the Parliament exhibition, the billions that we saw that had been spent wherever. We also do a breakdown from there. And then we say this is how this money would have been accurate. So we would have like 3 or 4 budget expenditures, which are useful to the ordinary citizen. That said, I agree 100% with Richard. Richard is saying that, you see, they showed us big houses of allegedly, and I want to use this word very much like a journalist, allegedly houses belonging to Joel Senyonyi. Why I say allegedly? Because it has not yet been proved. And until it is proved, we still think it is an allegation. And even he himself has said corruption is fighting back. But we've seen mansions. If it so happens that it is true, Joel has built those mansions, oh hallelujah, I want to be leader of opposition tomorrow. Why not?
The privileges are huge.
I want to go and be beside Bobby Wine as immediate as tomorrow. What am I waiting for? Why should I wallow here every day? Tomorrow I'm in a taxi. The other day I'm looking for this. The other day I'm here. Why not go? And I also drive that big Land Cruiser. And I also have all those houses that I saw that went up within 6 months. And this is what Richard is laboring and saying. Once a person becomes a member of parliament, he used to cook chapati with you. He used to sit in village meetings with you. Suddenly, everything has changed. He has a Land Cruiser. His children have gone abroad. He has apartments across the whole village. He has big chunks of land. He has also built big houses in the city. And just within 5-year term of his being a member of parliament,
Life has changed completely.
Life completely changes. That is a motivation. We all must go. And the president kept saying this thing more than 10 years ago. I think in 2006, he said, you know, the problem with politics in Uganda is that we have made it a job, a career.
Actually lucrative job.
He said it is a career, it's a career opportunity for those who go in. They are not looking at it as politics. They look at it as a career to make money, grow big, and stay there. He said it. But you know, there are some things he says, and you think, now this one, I wish he could act on it, and nothing actually takes place. I think I need to urge, number one, that we reduce those members of parliament from 529. Taxpayers are paying a lot of money. We must come up with reforms that ensure we are reducing. There is a bill by ACFIM that is trying to show women members, these ones councillors, how do we reduce them? But the president instead came and appointed assistant RDCs. Now what are those ones doing? We have a full RDC who has already become a headache for us in communities. He's always following us everywhere. Everything people do, he's there. Then now you've put an assistant RDC. Then what is that one going to do? And yet he's taking a taxpayer's money.
Thank you.
And he has a car and he has fuel. So you see, it's also recruitive.
Thank you so much, Charity. And quickly, Gerard, as we conclude on this matter, politics now becoming so lucrative. How best now can we tame that?
Of course, Richard said it's next to impossible. And of course, I would like to agree, because it is just a story of a monkey and a forest. That you are benefiting from this, and you also have the power to determine whether to slash it or not. I think as a country, we need conversations around governance reform, around the nature of decentralization we are having right now, which is not delivering services, but employing politicians. A person who has a councillor wants to graduate to be secretary for works, so that he's able to access the road fund. And the more we create new things, we are creating so many offices without services. We need conversations around there. Two, I think we are overrepresented. Do we need, now we are going, I think she has the statistics, we are going to about 3 million next election.
Yes.
Elected leaders.
Yes.
In Uganda. Do we need 3 million elected leaders in Uganda? That's a question. Last week I was here, I talked about, for me, it's not that I am against women representation, but I also told you that we used to do an analysis of the content of what women MPs speak in the parliament, whether they speak on behalf of women. We discovered that they don't. Of course, when we presented the issue for advocacy, they said, but no, one of the objectives was to ensure that more women come into politics. But if they are coming into politics, they are not adding value to that woman who is in the village, who is walking miles fetching water because water is unavailable. If I went to simple mathematics, like Trump usually presents it, if I'm paying a district woman representative 40 million a month as an average, times 12 months, it means this person is taking home about 480 million per year. If I have 146 women representatives in parliament, it is a hell of money, which can transform education for women, access to water for women,
Access to pads,
access to capital, and so on. And so it can be a more transformative action than having so many people in parliament who are lost in the corridors, that even when you track the answer, you will not find them what they said in 5 years. We need conversations around that. We need conversations on whether other MPs cannot speak for youth MPs, for instance. Because if you look at this parliament, quite a big fraction of people were below the age of 40. Then the others between 40 and 45, okay? So can't they speak on behalf of the youth?
So, from you as you conclude, Gerard, it's a bunch of
There are
issues
yes.
and reforms to implement for this particular policy
Actually,
to make sense.
I'm telling you today, probably if you put it to a referendum, maybe we might vote otherwise and overturn many things in this country.
Thank you.
Because we are establishing a kind of predatory system that only eats, but it's not symbiotic. At least if you are if you are milking a cow, feed it. But a tick, we are behaving like ticks on a cow because a tick will eat you and even go with you in the grave.
Thank you so much, our viewers, and we are approaching the final segment of this conversation. We appreciate your time and we appreciate your comments. You can, in these last 10 minutes, make your case, send in your comment observation as we conclude. Well, it's a whole thing. It's a huge task before us, but we must do something about it. Charity, as we conclude, a comment on Rwanda elections. Our neighbor garnered almost 100% of vote, and he has managed to extend his rule from 23 now. I think he'll be going to 30 years with this new term. What do you now, as we speak in the context of the East African community and democracy within this region, what can you make as a comment? As you conclude, please.
I saw a BBC story about the Rwandan election, that the world loses interest in Rwandan election. Then I saw a response from some people in Rwanda, and they're like, who is the world? Is the world UK, European Union, America? Who is the world? Because for us, the world is the ordinary Rwandan. He is the world. And if the ordinary Rwandan has spoken and said it's 99% to hell with the world losing interest in the election. Then I read other interesting comments from the ordinary people from Rwanda. And one of them that stuck with me was the fact that they said, you know, for them, from the time President Paul Kagame went into his second term in office, he got rid of the idea of winner take it all. And he decided on the idea of building consensus. So these people whom he brings to stand against him, even when they say he has allowed this one and denied this one. Remember, he closed out Rwigara. So they say he has allowed this one, he has closed out this one. Those people, he agrees with them. And already they are saying he's going to appoint them. They are going to go into government. So they stood as his opponents. But they're going to go back into government. And they're going to have offices.
Good for democracy, growth in the region?
For his type of democracy which he has come up with.
Okay.
And that is why I think even in your own context, you've heard the president saying that, you see, as Ugandans, you also need to think of yourselves. But of course, democracy as a broad concept, I always tell you these things, Apollo, and you see, it cannot be changed. It's not a one-size-fits-all, but it has principles and it has tenets. Part of the principles of democracy, which must be followed, as much as the winner take all, as the ordinary people in Rwanda are saying, was dealt with, the principles, the major ones, the four, is the rule of law, civic participation. Civic participation is the one which also has Article 38 now coming to vote and whatever, elections themselves, and human rights. Now, if you look at Rwanda, what is the state of human rights? Tell me. What is the state of civic participation? Tell me. What is the state of rule of law? Tell me. What is the state of elections?
Can you tell me in one word?
That is why I said tell me.
Okay.
Take your time, review it for yourself. If it doesn't fit in,
Richard,
then there is no democracy.
Your concluding remarks, but of course a comment on...
I would like to congratulate my
my
senior old boy for...
Obi from Mutari.
Yeah, for yet again going through a very successful selection process.
Selection.
Yeah, an election is a selection. People select the one they want. Yeah. So
As a communicator, the choice of words. I take interest in the choice of words.
yeah, and on the question of interest, I would like us to take interest in what Charity calls the ordinary people of Rwanda that she has had, that she has had the comments. There is, I think we know that the IT capabilities in that, so the artificial intelligence, the AI, the deployment of AI, of artificial intelligence, and hordes of bots.
Robots.
Yeah, I think we need to take very much interest, deep interest. We also, I think it's critical from a general communication, but a journalism view, to take interest in the context of journalism in our sister country, Rwanda.
I saw a report from the observation team from the East African community.
Yes.
Praising and hailing the process
The selection,
of
yes.
the Rwanda
Yes,
elections.
it's a very smart,
And it was
very
led-
clever.
The media coverage
It
was
was led
balanced.
by Maraga.
No, I can tell you.
David
it's
Maraga
it-
is celebrated.
it is a very smart,
former Chief Justice.
very smart, very well organized,
Peaceful
very well prepared
credible.
selection process. I tell you, I cannot fault the selection capabilities. But I was asking you to take interest in the internet ICT capabilities, particularly
And bots.
Yeah, they are the artificial intelligence and associated, and also take deep interest in the journalism context
And the ordinary citizen whom may I
that
saw
happens
online.
in that country.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
From you, Gerard.
No, but this ordinary citizen, I know him, Geoffrey Kamari. You know him, he was also here in the newsroom in New Vision.
But you see,
paraded 6 or 7 people.
Geoffrey Kamari, I have met him in Kigali not very long ago, not less than once, and he's not an ordinary citizen.
Oh, he's not ordinary.
Rwanda.
Oh, so his cohort, his cohort is what we're having
So when I
conversation
come,
with.
when I
on
come here
dialogue.
and meet Charity, I say Charity is an ordinary citizen of
But
Rwanda.
I am
The
ordinary.
professor of elections who is on TV every day
I
is
am
an ordinary
ordinary.
citizen. What are you talking about?
Dr. Gerard, your comment on Rwanda elections?
I think this OB of Untari one day will take me to study the politics of his OB. You know, we have the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, DPRK. Many people around the world actually think that Kim Jong-un is not elected. But every year, the Workers' Party of DPRK elects him.
Selects.
He
So-
said an election is a selection.
So I think,
Not necessarily. Please don't kill our election.
I think I need to study this hybrid system
Of democracy.
strong man and democracy, and how the two interact, and then they end up at 99% result, and how the opposition immediately after losing seats with the winner and they share cabinet, they choose cabinet together. So for me, at times, actually when I saw the results, I thought probably for us we might be seeing 3 candidates, but when the President Kagame is in the middle, instead of seeing himself, he sees Frank Habineza and they are one. For me, that is the analysis I can give it. I need to study it. But if it brings order, development, and people are happy, I think it's the right.
Yeah,
of the
Charity
people of
speaks
Rwanda.
about different models of democracy. Possibly that is one.
No. I told you, people are creating their own models of democracy. But democracy has its principles and its tenets which cannot go away. Those
the benchmarks
created
from which
yes, so these
can
created
be-
models should be tested against the standard.
Gentlemen, our time is up. I must thank you so much for gentlemen and the lady. Thank you so much for being part of this show. It's been a great time having you. And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in and always listening and following us. You can keep those comments coming in. We'll be back next Saturday. Charity, it's a pleasure again having you today. Thank you so much for your time and your submissions. Richard, welcome back.
Thank you.
Hope we have you now for quite a good time.
Yeah, next month I'm going to Washington, and in between I will have 1 or 2 other journeys, but I am here.
Wow.
I am absolutely here.
Thank you so much.
He's always away. The man is in the plane, he's the man in the thing. And he's lying to the public that me, I'm an expert.
wherever
when
he goes,
I am omuntu wawa.
Wherever he goes, he sells Uganda and Africa somehow. You'll see
In certain offices, who knows?
You'll see him in Bitenji and African wear.
And ordinary sandals. But when he's in Washington, my friend is in good shoes. I was seeing his pictures.
Yeah, sure. I saw it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jeda Dore. Thank you so much, and convey our regards to the people of Chirinya.
We are building a port.
The United
We are
Republic.
building a port at the sea.
I don't know if you're safe because Nema has moved to Kasokoso. Isn't it the same
I'm
place?
very safe, but some of our people are not safe. You saw our MP being grabbed and caged in some small vehicle.
My friend.
Viewers, we come back next Saturday. My name is Prince Apollo. Thank you so much for your time. Stay on Sol TV. Good afternoon, and we wish you a fruitful week ahead. God bless you. God bless Uganda.